The internet buzzes about an immigration checkpoint in Longmont enforcing President Trump's immigrant crackdown, except Next found it's just not true. Critics of the president's pick of a Colorado judge to sit on the Supreme Court are picking through his past. We can tell you his Catholic school teacher in Denver doesn't have any dirt, if you're curious.
He was one of the best and brightest.
Dr. Max teaches us why music gives us the chills. And that's just the feeling we got when an inspiring educator took her first step since the crash. Next. Our top story tonight is something that never happened. A panic was spreading that immigration officers had set up a checkpoint in Longmont, stopping minorities, warning them to carry their papers. A threatening suggestion at a time when a lot of people are on edge over immigration issues, which is why our Verify team went to work to determine what was true and what were falsehoods that someone else wanted you to believe. The tip pinged into our inboxes from several Next viewers, and we traced it back to a Facebook page for progressive activists, one of the same groups inundating Senator Cory Gardner with criticism these days. The claim reads like a game of telephone. A woman's sister said her coworker and other people were pulled over by immigration officers, then asked to show ID. It says the officer told her she needs to have her paperwork on her at all times. Let's be clear. This did not happen. We checked with ICE. A spokesman tells us ICE does not have traffic stop authority. We checked with Longmont Police, which says these rumors are completely unsubstantiated. What did happen? The best we can tell, someone saw this vehicle, a Federal Protective Service SUV, the kind you see outside federal buildings. They don't do immigration. An employee who happens to live in Longmont was just driving the vehicle through town today, leading someone to spark a panic. The progressive activist group Indivisible Front Range Resistance deleted that post after we brought it to their attention. These false rumors can cause real harm to families. In 2004, false rumors of an immigration raid in Houston caused hundreds of families to attempt to disappear overnight. Houston Chronicle reported that nearly 200 kids were absent from school the next day. This would be a time to be careful with the facts as well as what we are sharing online. If there's ever something you see that you would like our team to verify, you know how to reach us. Email next@9news.com or get our attention with the hashtag #HeyNext. So all this week we've been talking about Republican U.S. Senator Cory Gardner and that organized opposition that's been lighting up his phone lines and filling his email inbox. He incensed activists when he suggested to Next that some of them were paid protesters. Well, we learned today just how much feedback Senator Gardner's office has been getting. 22,000 phone calls in the month of January alone and 122,000 pieces of mail, email, and snail mail. One of the most scrutinized men in America right now has to be Supreme Court nominee Neil Gorsuch. Opponents are scouring his record as a judge here in Colorado to see if they can find any reason to deny Donald Trump his pick for the high court. I'm not sure if they're going to go back as far as his 8th grade Catholic school teacher in Denver, but you know we here at Next like to be thorough. So we met up with her today at Christ the King Roman Catholic School in Denver.
From a teacher's standpoint, you always want to see your students become successful. And sometimes they'll come back and visit and tell me what they're up to, and that's always fun. Dear Judge Gorsuch, for several weeks I have been anticipating, and Neil Gorsuch was in my 8th grade class, and when I heard he was nominated to the Supreme Court, I was just thrilled. I was overjoyed. When I found out that your name was in the final running, I thought about how great it was that one of my 8th grade students at CK was in the running for such an honor. Neil Gorsuch was in my 8th grade class in 1980-81. He was one of the best and brightest. Very well-liked student, very fair to everybody, and, you know, very responsible student. He approached his academics in a very matter-of-fact manner, but he also had a really good sense of humor that he would sneak in every once in a while. And I really did think he had a particular interest in the history, government aspect of his studies. I have been reminiscing about teaching you in 8th grade. My first thoughts are of you in social studies class, discussing history, politics, and civics. In order to tell him that I was proud of him, I wanted to write the letter. I am very proud of you, Neil, and hope that your nomination will be confirmed. I mailed it earlier this week. He's had a busy week, I'm sure. You know, I don't know if he's checked his mail, I don't know. I'm just thinking of him as a 14-year-old kid. That's why teachers in elementary school cherish those memories, because they see him as these young kids. And then you wonder what's going to happen, and then you hope things happen for the best for all of them.
Gorsuch would be the second Coloradan to sit on the Supreme Court after Justice Byron White, if Gorsuch is confirmed. Average time between nomination and confirmation for the court is about 11 weeks, but there's not a whole lot that's average about politics these days. We know that Muslim leaders in Denver had tipped off federal authorities to the radicalization of the suspect in the killing of an RTD security officer earlier this week. And today, hundreds in that community gathered at the Colorado Muslim Society to pray for an end to violence and division here and also in Canada, where worshipers were killed at a mosque last weekend.
We are at the Colorado Muslim Society on Parker Road. We are welcoming non-Muslims in our community to observe our sanctuary and to observe our prayers.
Islam has ways of dealing with things.
This is going to bring everyone closer, not only in the Muslim community, but in the non-Muslim community.
So we're asking everybody to come out and basically tie a ribbon on the fence over here.
Would you care to tie a ribbon on and
I
show
would
your
love
support? Thank you. The red, white, and blue stand for the United States of America, the American people. It's been a crazy last 12 days.
And a lot of minority groups have been receiving a lot of hate.
Following the Quebec massacre, that took the lives of 6 worshiping Muslim men at a place just like this. We need to give ourselves time to mourn, not as Muslims, not as worshipers, but as a community, as human beings. I'm so proud to be an American. I really am. I mean, this is what America is. This is what it's always been. I don't have to come up with a cheesy line to convince anyone. This is who we are. Yeah.
Our next question comes from a viewer, Jessie, asking about who's responsible for maintenance and repairs on city playgrounds. She's specifically concerned about this playground at City Park, and it's clearly seen better days. So Jessie, here's how this works. The city keeps a list of playgrounds that need work, and that one at City Park is actually scheduled to be cleaned up, improved, repaired if a bond measure on the November ballot is passed by voters. If you happen to run across a playground or any kind of park maintenance issue, you can always call 311 in Denver, or you can report it online, pocketgov.com. We have another update on the principal from Littleton, whose spirit continues to amaze us. Allison Mallory walked for the first time today since December 23rd, the day she fell off her snowboard and broke her back, paralyzing her below the waist. She's on the Locomap machine at Craig Hospital. It's essentially a robot that simulates walking. During her half hour on the machine this morning, Mallory told us that she felt the muscles in her left knee firing. Her therapist says that is a great sign. She described the feeling when she saw her feet moving on that treadmill.
That there was possibility. Yeah, like it was a new next step. I mean, there's so many different milestones, but qualifying for this and then the RT 600, I think it's just a new level of maybe.
Mallory says she truly believes that she may walk again. She's been so transparent in sharing her story. We know that a lot of you are very interested. We'll keep you updated on her progress, including when she returns to school in Littleton.
If you saw Red today, no need to be angry. There's a good reason. Taronda Thomas says we need to have a conversation. Not just me and her, you too. And if this was an easy talk to have, we would have had it a long time ago.
Today is Go Red for Women Day, hence a few subtle enhancements to my always tasteful outfits. The red that you're seeing worn all around town is to spark conversations about heart disease being the #1 killer of women and men in the U.S. Here in Colorado, a quarter of all deaths are related to heart disease, and many of our neighbors are living with the risk signs. 26% of Coloradans have high blood pressure, 35% have high cholesterol, and 17% of our neighbors don't engage in any physical activity. So get out and get moving, no matter what you're wearing.
Congratulations, you made it through the week. I'm meteorologist Kathy Sabin, and we are staring right into a weekend that looks more like spring than winter. I think the groundhog may have gotten it wrong. Although we're not out of the woods entirely yet. Still some areas of fog around the area, and our high of 38, still cool, but about 11 degrees milder than yesterday. Winds are kicking in out of the southwest, and that will push temperatures out of the 20s into the 50s and 60s for the next 3 days. Weak weather system will add to the snowpack in the northern mountains for those skiing. Steamboat, great weekend up there. A little bit of wind and snow on I-70 tonight. Winter weather advisory expires at 2 o'clock tomorrow. Cold air pushing south and east away from the area. Lots of sunshine, although we will have wind along the foothills tomorrow, gusting out of the west from 15 to 25 miles per hour. Some areas of blowing snow for a short time, but decent day of travel across the state. The wind will be the worst of it. The warmth and the sunshine, something that, well, you can get used to for a couple of days if you like. Tonight, cold again, 27, partly cloudy with some areas of fog late. Once the clouds and the fog burn off early tomorrow, sunshine will get us into the low 50s by lunchtime. Average high this time of year is 44, so we're doing pretty well with 59 tomorrow, close to 60 on Sunday and Monday. Next storm I'm tracking may bring some flurries Tuesday into Wednesday, a little bit of a cool down, but I'm not overly impressed with that system. And how about the beautiful ice shots around the area? Jay Calvert out of Craig, thank you for showing us the beauty in the cold.
We're joined now on Next by my colleague Taronda Thomas, who says it is time that we have a conversation, a courageous conversation in this state.
Yeah, a courageous conversation about race. It's something that makes a lot of people uncomfortable. It's something some people don't know if they're ready to talk about, but we decided let's put one foot out there and let's talk about it, and let's be honest, and let's be bold, and let's be open, and we're doing that. And that special, half-hour special, is airing tomorrow.
And in terms of being bold and being honest, you were both when you said that the experience of being black in Colorado is a little lonely.
It is. It is. I said in this show that it's lonely because you have to kind of be okay with not seeing a lot of people who look like you and still be secure in who you are.
I think a lot of people would like to think that these are not issues that we grapple with still in Denver or even in America.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fascinated by the idea that psychologists will use in terms of moral licensing, the idea that once the group in the majority does something good for someone in the minority, they feel that they have moral license to take a step back.
Yeah.
We've had a black president, so surely we've moved past this. In Denver, we have a black mayor, so surely this is a city that doesn't deal with racial issues. But that's obviously not the case.
No, and you know what? I think that really came about after President Obama was elected. You started hearing this phrase, post-racial America. And so many people started going, what do you mean, post-racial? I'm still experiencing the same things that I did 5, 10, 15 years ago. And I should mention, this conversation isn't just about complaining, isn't just about saying, here are the bad things that have happened to me. It's also about finding solutions, talking about ideas, and giving perspective with all the different voices that we have in it.
We think about courageous conversations. It doesn't just mean minorities talking to white people in a courageous way. It's also some of the things that you have heard from white people in our community about coming to grips with their own views.
Mm-hmm. And it is something that's hard to do. We have a psychologist on the show who says, you know, when we talk about things like this, it's like holding up a mirror to you. And you might not like what you see, but it's important to look at it and acknowledge it. So that's why including all those voices is so important for this. And this show is not for black people, just for black people. I don't want people to come away thinking that. It's for everyone. It's for the person who may have wanted to ask that question, but was afraid to ask. And now they can hear the answer in a way that's not judgmental. It's not pointing a finger, but it's saying, here's our perspective.
Courageous Conversations, Taronda Thomas is one of the two co-hosts, along with 9 News photojournalist Byron Reed, who steps in front of the camera for the first time. Glad that you get to meet the guy that we know and love. Airs 9:30 on Channel 20 Saturday night. Thanks, Taronda.
You're welcome.
We watch a little meter around here. Seriously, and it tells us how anxious you are for the weekend. Really. And there's an offshoot of your good news this week. It's a whole tree, actually. That's next.
We keep an eye on what you're reading and watching, and it's much less creepy than it sounds. We watch to see what you're looking at on 9news.com so we know what topics are of interest each day. And the only thing that people were doing this morning is getting ready for the weekend. I'm serious. Warm weekend forecast after a dreary week. Stories about ideas of what to do Saturday and Sunday. That's the only thing people were clicking on. So, would you please allow me to make some recommendations? If you're looking for 3 great breweries in Denver within walking distance of each other, you should head to some new ones. Ratio Beer Works, Bierstadt Lager House, and Spanglang Brewery. They're in River North and 5 Points, not far at all. And for extra points, have a drink on the patio in wintertime like a real Coloradan. And while you're there, send me your Colorado beer recommendation with the hashtag #HeyNext. Or you could go for a great hike close to Denver, Roxborough State Park. It's not so hidden gem at this point. These photos were taken in late October, but you get the picture. It is beautiful out there, even with a layer of white up on the rocks. Scenic hikes, nice visitor center, not far from C-470 in Wadsworth, so you're not fighting I-70 traffic. We're always looking for your recommendations for a great hike close to home as well. And speaking of hikes, the most Colorado thing we saw today is a collaborative effort to get us outdoors. Denver Public Library has teamed up with Colorado Parks and Wildlife and the Department of Education to help people try out Colorado state parks for free. You can check out from the library a free 7-day pass. You can check out a pass to any of Colorado's 42 state parks, and you get a backpack with binoculars, state park map, guides for identifying different plants and animals. Each library branch in Denver has 2 park passes and 2 adventure backpacks, and they can each be checked out for up to a week. That is a cool idea. Dr. Max Wachtel, the resident psychologist here at 9 News, is a friend of Next, primarily because we've got a lot of issues to discuss, and he loves to answer your questions alongside our Steve Stager. Here's the latest.
I am listening to a song. Do I suddenly get the chills?
Well, it depends on the song, first of all. So it's got to be a song that really moves you, that, you know, either something that you have a strong emotional connection to from decades ago, or it may be a brand new song and it just hits you very hard for the first time. So it's got to be something that causes some sort of an emotional reaction. And that, you know, our emotions they're all in our head, but they're very strongly tied to the rest of our body. So something called the sympathetic nervous system kicks in. And you know, it just gets our body amped up, and we get the chills. You know, maybe we get goosebumps. You know, our heart starts beating a little bit faster. We get really excited. It's this very strong, natural physiological response. It happens with songs. It might happen with a movie that you're watching or with a book, and it can also happen on the negative side of things too. So that you know, when you know, some people will get the chills if they are watching Hannibal Lecter, or if they see somebody on the street who just looks like this evil kind of person or whatever. You know, that it can cause the exact same reaction. We just interpret it differently in our heads.
So I take this last commercial break to sort through all of your feedback. We'll read some of that next and share your good news. Next closes each Friday with an antidote for the depressing headlines that have piled up all week. And today we went to Longmont, where a tree is gathering happy thoughts. They call it the positivity.
An evergreen is, by its nature, green. But this is by far the most colorful one we've found. Colorful because of paint swatches that now hang from its branches. Even more radiant because of the messages scrawled on those swatches. I think I will just be happy today. If you dream it, you can do it. Make it a year of love and kindness. Dream big. Sparkle more. Too many kind thoughts to fit on TV, and there's room for many more. If you're looking to inspire, or just looking for inspiration, we suggest you head to Lou Miller Park in Longmont.
And you always get the last word. John Applehands writes, way to go Next, way to investigate that fake claim about an ICE checkpoint in northern Colorado. He says, seems these days too many provocateurs trolling the streets, and that's why we'll be vigilant. Zach Minute says, good conversations like the one with Taronda Thomas tonight. Glad that Next is willing to go there. Taronda special Saturday night, 9:30, Channel 20. And Cecilia says, is tonight's jacket a nod to the Atlanta Falcons? Nope, go red for women, but also go Falcons. Anybody but Brady, am I right? See you next time.